Please welcome Maggie Thompson with Campus Camp Wellstone and Ann Johnson with Generation Progress.
So how are we all doing? Hasn't it been an amazing day for everybody else? I'm so inspired by this conference today. Thank you so much all for being part of the summit this year. It's just been a fantastic day, and we're excited to close it out with an amazing guest. If I can just start by saying, I'm from Wisconsin. So yes, we got a couple progressives up there. I grew up in Wisconsin. My first door knock ever was when I was 8 years old. My mom took me out door knocking in our neighborhood for then Senator Russ Feingold. Some of you might remember Russ. So I guess you'd say that, having a Democratic senator in Wisconsin is something that my parents instilled in my blood, along with Green Bay Packers. So from 8 years old, my mom taught me right. I've been involved with youth organizing ever since then, training with Campus Camp Wellstone all through high school and college. I have to say the moment when it really hit me what an incredible difference our generation can make in implementing long-term, lasting change was in 2007 when I worked on then Senator Obama's campaign for president, back when nobody thought we had a shot. Our generation was the engine of that campaign, and we changed the country. And I think that now, working with Campus Camp Wellstone, listening to all of you today talk about all the fights that we're involved in here, fighting the long-term threat of climate change, ensuring women's rights, implementing the president's health care law, making sure that that's successful, more and more I realize how proud I am to be from the state I'm from. Wisconsin has such a long tradition of progressive organizing. It's in my family, it's in our elected officials, and it's something that even now we can look to as a real example, especially now that we have such an incredible standard bearer for the progressive cause in Wisconsin, not just in our state, but across the country. Our guest closing us out tonight, in 2012, she pulled off one of the most inspiring campaigns our state has ever seen, one of the best campaigns of 2012. And I cannot tell you what an honor it is for me to welcome her to the stage tonight so we can present her with the second annual Generation Progress Champion for Change Award. I'd like to introduce you to my home state senator, U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Maggie, for that generous introduction. And I also want to thank and recognize the staff at CAP and Campus Progress for all their incredible and hard work in putting this event together today. But most of all, I want to thank all of you, everyone here, for your engagement, for your activism, and for your efforts to organize for change and for progress at the grassroots level in communities across the United States. The work you do is tough work, and it can be discouraging at times, but the work you do is so important. As someone who sees the problems in Washington up close every single day, I can understand why some might simply want to throw up their hands. But I'm not giving up. And I won't accept that progress is beyond our reach. There is simply too much at stake for so many. As I said on election night last fall, at my party in Madison, Wisconsin, I didn't run for the United States Senate to make history. I ran to make a difference. And all of you are here this week because you are committed to making a difference too. Throughout my own career, I've heard from this group of folks that I like to call the naysayers, the cynics, and the keepers of the status quo. And I've heard them say over and over again, you can't, you shouldn't, you won't. When I ran my first campaign for the state assembly in 1992, people told me that I couldn't win. They told me the voters weren't ready. In 1998, when I ran for Congress, a race that would make me the first woman from Wisconsin elected to the House of Representatives and the first openly gay non-incumbent to be elected to the United States Congress, the naysayers, the cynics, and the keepers of the status quo said the very same thing. And even when I ran last year for the United States Senate, plenty of people told me that I didn't have a chance. I have to tell you, though, I am the wrong person to tell that something can't be done. So I ran. I ran because I believe that we need to put progress ahead of politics and work together to move America forward. And I ran because I believe that if we're going to prosper, we're going to do so together. Everyone has to have a fair shot, and everyone has to do their fair share, and everyone deserves a level playing field. Those are the values that I learned growing up in the state of Wisconsin. They're probably not so different from the values that you learned growing up too. And they're the values that I ran on. I trusted in the values that I learned growing up, and in all the people who shared those values and took a part in my campaign. And you might have noticed that we won. Now, sure, we made history, but as I said, we ran to make a difference in the lives of students who struggle with loan debt, when a higher education should be a path to prosperity, not a path to indebtedness. A difference in the lives of dreamers who deserve immigration reform so that they will have an opportunity that they've earned to contribute to their communities, to attend college, to serve in the military, and to start their own careers. A difference in the lives of young people who will now have access to health care because we passed the Affordable Care Act. A difference in the lives of our gay and lesbian family members, friends, and neighbors who ask nothing more than the opportunity and freedom to love, the freedom to commit, and the freedom to build a family. And a difference in the lives of middle-class families who are working as hard as ever and deserve to get ahead, yet many are barely getting by. The truth is that while you hear a lot about the wide distance between Democrats and Republicans, the widest and most important gap, the widest and most important distance is the one in our political system between the content of the debate here in Washington and the concerns of hardworking families in places like Wisconsin and in communities across this country. That distance parallels the large and growing gaps between rich and poor, gaps between our nation and our competitors when it comes to education and innovation. That's the biggest gap of all, the gap between the economic security that many work so hard to achieve and the economic uncertainty that they're asked to settle for. And if we can't close that gap, we might someday ask, where is that middle class that once defined the American dream? We might talk about the middle class as something we used to have, not something that each generation can aspire to achieve. You are here today, and you do the work that you do because you want to build a stronger future for yourselves and for our country. And now is our chance to do just that. You get to decide whether we protect the gains we have made by passing healthcare reform, or whether the special interests get to take over and repeal it. And you get to decide whether women have the freedom to make their own healthcare decisions, or whether politicians are able to put themselves between women and their doctors. You get to decide whether 2014 is like 2010, another midterm election when young people stay home and Democrats don't show up, or whether we'll prove that we are ready to fight for our progressive values. And your engagement means that you get to decide what our future looks like and whether it's defined by progress or not. I do believe that we can make change from the outside in, as long as we don't let those naysayers, those cynics, and those keepers of the status quo get the best of us. We have so much work to do, but don't let those cynics tell you that it can't be done. I've never listened to them, and neither should you. Listen to your heart instead. And if you do, I am absolutely certain that we can make a difference together. Thank you.